This is back to school season, so let's talk about learning, or in particular about reading. We consume a lot of information on a daily basis via reading, and we're using different mediums to do that. Do you read paper books, or do you carry an e-reader everywhere with you? Do you maybe just scroll through your phone and read the news? Or you're one of the hardcore guys who only read the documentation? In this video, I'm gonna go over different formats that I use for different purposes. Let me know in the comments below if you have similar experience or maybe tips. Let's start with paper books, the most old school and obvious solution for reading. Most of the books about software engineering that I own are paper books, and there is a reason for it. They contain a lot of diagrams or big samples of code, and I prefer looking at it in a big format right in front of me in the A4 or whatever format the books usually are. They are quite big. It's also way easier to jump through the chapter, look through different concepts and compare them in a paper book because I can just look at 2 pages at once. And of course, a lot of those things are also possible to do on a big monitor, but a paper book helps me to focus. And for some books that I own, being able to focus is very important and also very challenging because the topics are not easy. The second medium that I use very often is an e-reader, and in particular, I'm using Kindle. I'm using it a lot for normal books that I'm reading, such as fiction and nonfiction, but I also read some of the professional books on it. Mostly it's books that are theoretical, don't have a lot of diagrams or technical details, so I don't have to face the problem with the diagrams or the code symbols that I mentioned. But books with overall advice work great. I think the best part about Kindle is that I can read it anywhere, which means that sometimes I'm actually learning something while waiting in line or on the road. My third reading medium of choice is an iPad. In our very fast-changing profession, everything new and everything fresh is of course digital. Most of the information about new technologies you get from blog posts and other people sharing the experience. That's why I cannot always rely on books to get the information that I need. I prefer reading on an iPad instead of on my phone because of the screen and because of the Apple Pencil capabilities. I have a 12.9 iPad and it's great for reading blog posts. It's big enough to give you this experience of reading a page, but it doesn't have a keyboard attached to it, so I can still read it pretty much anywhere. Plus, some of the books that I own are only in PDF format. It isn't convenient to use, for example, with Kindle, but it is great for an iPad. For some of the books or blog posts, I'm using Apple Pencil heavily because I like to annotate and write some notes on the sides. Usually those are notes about something else that I need to research. The next reading device is of course a laptop. Despite the laptop being in the fourth place, I do most of the reading during my work hours on the laptop. And it's usually the documentation or Stack Overflow or some blog posts that are related to the current problem I'm working on. Everything that I need for practical purposes and not for some fundamental knowledge is basically stuff that I read on the laptop. Because of course, everything that I read on the laptop, I can use in the code right away, and this is the huge advantage. I do a lot of research on the laptop as well, for example, for YouTube videos or side projects. But it also involves looking for answers to particular questions and not just reading a book about microservices. I think laptop has way too many distractions for me to dig deep into an actual book. And the last on my list, and based on importance, is the phone. I almost never use my phone for anything very serious. Mostly I use it for inspiration, stuff to read later, and only in very rare cases I'm actually reading something on an iPhone. And usually it's a blog post that I saw and it was so interesting that I just couldn't stop reading it. Otherwise my phone has way too many distractions that I don't want to fight with. Every tool that I mentioned works very well for me for its intended purposes, but if I had to choose one, I think I prefer reading on Kindle the most. It's light, small, and portable, and every time I read it, it doesn't feel like a chore, it feels more like an entertainment, even if the book is heavily technical. And I think for me, enjoying the reading is one of the most important things, because if I am having fun, then I'll probably pay more attention to it, I'll remember more, and there is a higher chance that I'm actually gonna finish the book. So that was it for today. Let me know if you like this format more than my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!